Friendships are some of the most sacred and valuable aspects of anybody's life. And I know, especially for me, friendships are probably the number one thing that I value most in my life. And they can be from, large friendships that have spanned decades and they're more or less your best friend, or it can even be a work friend who's maybe less significant in your overall life. But even these small friendships make your life so much better. And I really want to discuss this way of thinking about friendships that I stumbled upon has really helped me understand a bit more and comprehend why I have the friends that I have, and maybe why some have fallen off and some have strengthened over the years. And this is kind of becoming more important in an era where the loneliness epidemic is more or less taking over. People don't really feel a strong sense of connection to a lot of people, and a lot of people are missing out on a lot of friendships. But typically when we think about friendships and what fosters a strong sense of connection between people, it can kind of mislead us because it feels like this very innate thing that just happens. You meet someone, you get talking, and things just click. And it's not really useful in terms of understanding why we connect to someone if we have this very arbitrary thing of, it just clicks, it just works, we just have a thing going on here, and that's why we're friends. And I first heard this kind of idea that really helped me understand all those different friendships when I watched a YouTube video of a guy who has maintained a Dungeons and Dragons game for over 40 years. The guy's name is Robert, and if you just type in 40-year Dungeons and Dragons game on YouTube, you'll undoubtedly find this video. But Robert says that the reason he's kept this game going as long as he has is purely for friendship. And he explains this as friendship is based on planks. You need something to hold it together. And I found the thought around friendships kind of really revolutionary in terms of how my friendships have gotten places they are. And when you recall why others have or don't have friends, it also says a hell of a lot about how we actually connect to people, and it becomes far less arbitrary. So if we unpack kind of my very regular Australian upbringing, I think that we can see how good this is at explaining why I've lost friends over the years and why I currently have the friends that I have. But I, like many others in Australia, went to kinder, went to primary school, went to high school, studied for a bit, I worked, and I went back to study. And for those of you who aren't Australian, kinder is the equivalent of preschool. But if we start where kinder was, I guess I had a bunch of friends that were my kinder friends. And mind you, I'm 4 years old this time. But I 100% had my kinder best friend. And the main thing that was holding us together was kinder. And that was kind of it. I actually ended up kind of maintaining this friend for a really long time because of a certain scenario. But as for the rest of those, friends that I had during kinder, while I was 4 and didn't know how to maintain friends, as soon as the plank was gone, those friendships disappeared. But my best friend kind of carried through with me into primary school. And we went to the same primary school, we played in the same cricket team, we played on the same footy team, we both loved Lord of the Rings, and we continued being best friends. And we had all these planks going on that were making kind of this connection for us. I think that's really important and why that friendship lasted so long, because eventually this friend left the primary school and I, stopped playing footy and he stopped playing cricket. And slowly these planks disappeared, but we stayed in contact for a really long time because they were all interlaced. We continued to, message each other for our birthdays and try and catch up every now and then. But eventually there was no plank to stand on. And this person who I had been best friends with from kinder, and they were a family friend of sorts, and through primary school, eventually I stopped seeing them. And that was because what did we have to stand on? We had nothing to stand on. All of our planks were gone. So even this one example, I think, is a really good demonstration of how this plank theory can explain why I was so close with this person and then why it ended up kind of, falling off the face of the earth. And I'm super fortunate personally to have had a bunch of friends throughout my life, and I'm so grateful of that. And I think that, most of these friendships track a very similar trajectory. I had other friends in primary school, and as soon as I went to high school, and I only went to high school with one kid from primary school, and I wasn't even that close with him in primary school. But all those initial primary school friends disappeared. I stopped seeing them. I stopped playing in the same sporting groups as them. I didn't go to school with them, and I didn't have that plank to stand on. And then kind of the funny thing is the kid that I wasn't that close with, that I ended up going to high school with, has become one of my best friends. And that plank was extended on the basis that we went to the same primary school, and that's kind of all we needed to connect and become closer. So I think that this kind of has tracked all the way through my life, and it's super interesting that you've probably had very similar instances like this, and it just helps us explain why we don't have friends. And as I said earlier, I think that friendship is probably the most valuable aspect of my life and something that I cherish the most, and I'm super grateful for it. But I also think that I'm in a bit of a rare circumstance compared to a lot of people, and I've spoken to enough people about this, but I have most of my high school friends still intact, and I've been out of school for a long enough time for all of them to disappear. But I think when I think about this plank theory, I realize that everyone stuck around. Everyone continued to lay the planks all those mates that I had in high school, and that's why they've stuck around. And sure, there absolutely was some high school friends who disappeared as soon as we stopped going to high school. But for the most part, the people that I cared about the most, I still catch up. I still go to the pub. We share a love of beer and have a yarn, and it keeps bringing us together. And sometimes we go to the cricket. We all love footy. We, like playing golf together. We like going on holidays together. And it just keeps us together. There's nothing... The planks are too intertwined for us to ever kind of separate. And even some of those connections that have maybe weakened over the years as friends moved overseas or moved interstate. And one example is probably my best friend in high school. We played cricket together and were more or less inseparable. We barracked for the same football team. And that's important because I think that just barracking for the same football team has kept us together. We live in completely different states for nearly over a decade, yet we still message each other every week. And whenever it comes down, we talk about football, and it's like we're best mates again, even though we haven't been best mates for so long. But those planks are so strong, and we maintain them, we actively maintain them. And it's not necessarily an easy thing, but it's an effort that is worth doing. I think in my wider circle of friends, it's also really clear why some people, stopped being part of the friendship group. And I think this explains a lot about for other people who maybe haven't been as fortunate and had a really strong high school friendship group for most of their adult life. But at some stage, people stopped coming to things. They stopped going to the footy. They stopped coming to the mate's house to catch up. They stopped playing the video game of a weekend, or they didn't want to go to the pub. And if you don't stand on the plank with everyone else or with your friends, then you're going to lose them. And I just encourage people to kind of just stand on the plank, just lay the planks down for people that you care about. And I think when we sit back and think about this theory, it really explains a lot about why people have the people in their lives. Like most of you have probably been in a situation where you're really close with someone from work, let's say. I think this is a really common example. And they make your life so much better at work, and you just feel excited to see them. And then one of you gets a new job, and what happens? You stop seeing each other. You didn't have any planks outside of work. You didn't catch up on the weekend. You didn't go and get a beer. You just loved each other's company at work. And that was the thing that you had connecting you. And as soon as you stopped standing on that together, that relationship goes away. And I guess this brings me to kind of the point of the video, is that you need to lay planks and put an effort into maintaining planks if you want those meaningful and valuable friendships. And if you want to strengthen friendships, you have two options. You either strengthen the current plank, you try and dig a little deeper into whatever that plank is, or you diversify those assets, right? Diversify the planks, create a deck, create a bridge that kind of brings you together, and so that you have something to stand on for a really long time, and hopefully you can grow old together. Now, I'm probably oversimplifying this and making it sound easy, but it definitely isn't. And there isn't an effortless way to do anything in life. And I think that all of this requires a heap of effort. But I think that friendships are definitely worth that effort. And this kind of brings me to my second point, which is more or less the curiosity of why I started looking into this. And I always hear about this loneliness epidemic that's going on. I'm super grateful that I don't feel lonely, but I know that there's a heap of people out there who are struggling and are struggling to find that connection. And I think that there is no shortcut to curing your loneliness, and it's 100% going to require meaningful connection to something or someone. And ultimately, the same way that someone needs to put a bunch of effort in to maintain the planks of the friendships that they already have, the lonely person is going to need to put an immense amount of effort into laying new planks with new people. And I'm definitely not an expert in this, and I don't claim to be, and I'm not saying that you're going to have a bunch of friendships tomorrow. But I think a starting point is, what are those passions that you have? What events or gatherings can you go to that allow interactions on the planks that you already know that you enjoy? And if you have a job, that's a plank to stand on. If you're going to high school or university, you're studying in some way, shape or form, they're planks to stand on, and sometimes that's all you need. And from there, you'll be able to strengthen it. I want to as well make it pretty clear that this video or this theory isn't necessarily a fix to create more friends. And I'm no expert at social science of interacting appropriately to create friends or anything like that. But I definitely think that there is value in understanding this concept and how friendships are created and how friendships are broken down. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to create stronger friendships just through the idea of knowing you need the plank to connect you. If you go into things with an open mind, I think you'll find most people are happy to talk, and connection can spark from anywhere. I really did find this concept rather eye-opening, even to the point where I kind of tried to lay a plank for my friends to kind of engage on. And I created a fantasy football league with my mates in an effort that, we'll be talking each week. And at this stage, it's working. And I kind of really encourage you to do something similar, and just as another plank to strengthen the connections that I already have. So that's all I kind of had to discuss. And does this theory of friendship help explain why some of your friendships have panned out the way they have, whether that's positive or negatives? But regardless, this is just a happy guy, and I hope that you can find the joy in your friendships and give them a new perspective and cherish them as much as you can. And equally, if you find yourself in a lonely spot, I hope that you or someone can lay a plank that helps you find some sort of connection, because you deserve it. Stay happy. Thanks for watching. I'm new to this whole YouTube thing, but in theory there should be another video popping up on your screen, and in that video I talk about how we can calculate our happiness using a certain equation that can actually add a bit of value to your life. And similar to this friendship theory, I think we can use it to understand ourselves. So give it a click.